why you are here. There was a question asked 2,000 some years ago. A very famous Chinese by the name of Mencius. He was considered to be the second holy man in the history of China, just next to Confucius. He traveled all the way to meet with the king. So the king asked him, "You traveled 1,000 miles to come here to see me. What are you going to say to benefit me?" That was his question. And Mencius answered, "No, sir. Why talk about interest? Why talk about the benefit? Righteousness is good enough." He said, "I come here to bring you the principle of righteousness." And you ask, why are you here? I also have a goal. My goal is to bring you hope, not an ordinary hope, like some of the politicians would give. Every time, this is a bit sensitive here, but like in America, every 4 years, you gotta elect a new president. In the election, before the election, they give a lot of promise, and then the hope comes, and then after a while, it cools down. Then you got another one. No, this hope comes from the book of the Bible. It's a revelation of hope. Each night, we will go through some of the very basic subjects. Tonight, we will go through just find out what is the greatest need of man. You may think, well, this is so basic. Let's just hold on. Next night, tomorrow we'll talk about what is life and how to live a quality life. And then we will discover about a mystery that was kept a secret since antiquity. And then we will talk about the fourth topic is about the 2 tables of stone. Now that might be a very interesting subject for most of us. And then we will look at the timeline of the end. The world has come to such a state that everyone is not feeling comfortable. You couldn't find anywhere that it seems to be safe. And how long this is going to last? And people are raising this kind of question. So is there a line that we can tell from the revelation of God to show us when this world will come to an end? How do we know? And then what is the message for this time? And finally, we will have the glorious revelation of hope that will come to appear at the last stage of this world history. Now, as we come to the question, the greatest need of man, and today everyone, most of us are having a masks, different country have different way of deal with it, and everyone thinking, wow, we're living in a world which is attacked by coronavirus. And everyone thinking if we have this vaccination, that's our need. Well, but after a while, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 boosts that still doesn't work. They start saying, hey, what is it? What is our need and how can we solve that? And you may eventually come to find out actually what works probably is your natural immunity, which works better than anything else. But sometimes you would learn from, you come a long way to learn to find out a very basic question. Now today people realize that even some people have vaccination for 2 or 3 times, they still have a problem. So it's the best to build your natural immune system. So that is very basic. But why you have to go through such a long way to come to this realization? Well, sometimes that's how we are built. So the question goes, what is the greatest need of man? Well, different people have different understanding. This chart here is well known in probably at least in the Western influenced society. Maslow has this chart. It says you have the physiological needs, and then upon that you have the safety needs, and then you have love and the belonging needs and esteem needs. Then finally the goal is to reach self-realization. But what is the self-realization? At least there's two ways to understand it. One is to understand it in a Western definition. Another way to understand it is in the Eastern definition. So I said, wait a minute. You mean the world understands self in different ways? Western people understand it in one way, and the Eastern people understand self in a different way? That may be true. And the Western people think the Western concept of self-realization is to the fulfillment of yourself to the maximum of your potential, your possibility of your very being. The way they do it is by conquering. And that's just the way it is. You look at the Western world, they conquer, they have colonies here and there. And unfortunately or unfortunately, Philippines was once a colony of some country, right? And they think they have to conquer. That's one way they have the self-realization. They think they are the center of the world. You look at the East, you know, I come from China. They look at China. Where is China today? They say there's a Far East. And then there are some countries, Middle East. Then there are some countries, Near East. You say, Near East to whom? Far East to whom? Who is in the center? Of course, Europe is in the center. They put themselves in the center, thinking the world have to be theirs. That's their way of understanding the self-realization. But there is another way, the Indian way. They have a different understanding. They think inside yourself there is a self, which is immortal, which provides the energy, which is blissful, knowledgeable, and eternal. And that once you get that realized, then you have the real self-realization. Now, some people say the knowledge that gets rid of the anger, greed, pride, and deceit, that is the real knowledge. Then that is a self-realization. Some people practice Buddhism. They want to seek for nirvana. That is, nirvana means like a candle. You blow away, you blow off your anger, your greed, your ignorance. Once you reach that goal, they think that the self-realization. Now, there is, of course, assumption that you have something within you which is immortal. You can read this from Wiki Encyclopedia, so I'm not going to read it. So let's just say, move on, just, okay, you have a different way of understanding self, and we can ask some even more basic question. Let's do some even more basic observation. It's so basic, so I'd like to have your cooperation with me. I've been a teacher most of my life. So I will raise some question. If you know the answer, just answer from your seat. Here's a beautiful car. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the car is a gas in the car, or there's no gas in the car when the car is made? No gas, right? It's a nice car, but you see the car is driving. But then, where does the gas come from? The gas comes from the gas station. So even though the gas is running, but within the car, there's actually, the car does not bring gas by itself. The car have to be provided with gas, then the car can run. Simple like that. So therefore, the first conclusion we have is there is no gas in the car. And we can say that if the gas is the life of the car, then we can say there is no life in the car, correct? All right. Now today, most people have a cell phone. Let me ask you a question. What is the greatest need of the cell phone? Communication? I hear two answers. Communication is your need, not cell phone's need, right? That's very basic. Sometimes we ignore the basic issues. We think about more sophisticated, complicated questions. We forgot about the simple question. Communication is your need. The cell phone never need communication. All the cell phone need is battery, is power. So let me ask you a question. You know, I come here, the first thing I told the Pastor Kim is that I'm sorry, I forgot to bring my charger. That's the first thing that worries me. As soon as he got me on off the plane, I said, can you find me some charger? Otherwise, my phone is going to die. When it's come to 20%, 15%, 10%, 1%, you become panic, right? Today, you can have, you probably can do away without anything, but cell phone is something you must have. And without it, you can't even go around. So let me ask you a simple question. Is there battery in the cell phone? Yes? Or the battery comes because you have to charge it. The cell phone does not have battery by itself, correct? The cell phone needs to be charged. Then it has power. I think this one is also running out of battery. It doesn't work anymore. Now, let's move on. Now, think about it. Now, when this cell phone, we know there is no battery in the cell phone. In other words, if we say the battery is the life of the cell phone, what is the conclusion? There is or there is not life in the cell phone. Which one? There is no life in the cell phone, right? No power in the cell phone. The cell phone can receive power. The cell phone can be charged. Whenever the cell phone is charged, then it's powered, it's empowered. But if the power is run out, then it's dead. So there's no life in the cell phone itself. Follow that logic? Reasonable? All right, let's move on. How about plant? Is there life in the plant, or there's no life in the plant? I know it's going to be. Okay, let's just take it easy, okay? For any plant, you have to water it, right? And then you have to have sunshine. We just had the health talk. You have to have water, sunshine, and then if you don't do that, what's going to happen? It will die. If something is going to die, that means there's no life in it. If there's not life in it, it will can support itself, right? If there's a life in the plant itself, then it doesn't need sunshine, it doesn't need water, it can just sustain itself. But you cannot. You have to give the plant water, sunshine, nutrients, otherwise it dies. True? So therefore, in the plant itself, there's no life. The plant is an organism that receives life. When it stops to receive life, then what happens? It dies. So let's come back to the same conclusion. There is no life in the plant. The plant is there to receive life. And life existed outside of the plant. Agree? All right, let's move on. How about dog? Is there life in the dog itself, or the dog have to receive life? I said, come on. The dog is living. But that life doesn't come from the dog. The life is provided to the dog. Isn't it? The water doesn't belong to the dog. The water was provided for him. And in the same way, I like to walk this summer. my wife took this picture, and we see some ducks there, and they're very happy, swim in the lake. But the water does not belong to the duck. And the duck have to take it. It was provided for the duck. Agreed? Yeah. Easy to see. And you have to give them food, otherwise they ask for you. No. If that is the case, so we can see the same, this is getting a little bit more complicated. Is there natural innate life in the dog, or the life is provided? I think the one that is matching the observation is the one that we can count in the Bible. In the Bible, it says, God knows in the human body, what is the ratio? 70% water, programs are secondary. You can add one app or less, it doesn't matter. But if there's no power, it doesn't work. For human being, what is the greatest need of human being? It's life. It's life itself. All rest are secondary. You may have different needs in your life, financial needs, educational needs. Some people have emotional needs. You can have all kinds of needs, but those are secondary. The very basic need, the greatest need of human is life itself. And that is something you cannot manufacture. And the Bible says, life is very short. The years of our life are 70s, or even by reason of strength, 80s. And yet, their span is but toil and trouble. They're soon gone, and we fly away. That is simply human life. Some people can live longer, enjoy long life. My mother passed away 2 years ago at the age 96. But still passed away. And my brother sent me a video today, and soon after my mother passed away, he played a Chinese erhu. I don't know whether you have seen those two strings. There is a famous melody. It's called The River. It was so, how do you say, it just expressed his missing my mom, and his feelings, emotions are all into it. Not everyone can live that long, and most of us, the average is just 70. I look at the Wiki Encyclopedia, it seems to be in Philippines is 76, isn't it? Indonesia 73, and the Philippines 76. Japan is the longest lifespan, 86. America 83. China 81. We receive our hair. This is the Chinese saying. So because it's, I'm a Chinese, and I hope some of you are Chinese, and so I put a few Chinese saying here. This is saying that all we receive from our parents is our hair, our skin, our bones. But we don't receive life from our parents. It says life comes from heaven. life comes from heaven. When someone murders somebody, killed somebody, and we say that is a sin against heaven. Life is heavenly related. It's not just about parents. Heaven have to hold that person accountable. For many people, they think the Chinese, they only worship money. At least that's the way it is today. Today, all the countries seem to focus on economy only. And the economy becomes the number one priority. But in the history of China, just for the reference of the Chinese is not this way like it is today. Chinese has been worshiping heaven. We have some historical site. This one is in Shandong, and every year this is the place the emperors and the kings come to this place to worship God once a year. Now the ceremony is very sacred. Now different dynasties, they build their capitals in different places. So today we can find some of the relics still there. And this is in the city of Xi'an. Xi'an is the place you have the life-size pterodactyl there. This is the Xi'an. And this one is in Beijing. This is also a place the emperors come to worship heaven. Now in Beijing, there is a clear indication to see what is the preparation for the king to come to worship heaven. Before they come to this stage, they have to stay away from their wives or concubines. One time I was too fast. I said, what is it? Anyway, they have to be fasting for 3 days before they can make sacrifice, to hold it very sacred. This ceremony lasted until 1911, when the Republic of China was founded, so they did away with this ceremony. But before that, before 1911, every year, non-stop, the priority of a nation is to worship heaven. And the heaven, the one that is known is called the great ruler, great royal ruler in the above. That's in the government. Even the private today, for the wedding, the wedding, they come together to have a 3 bow. You have to, the first bow is to bow to heaven. Second bow is to the parents. The third is to bow, husband and wife bow to each other. And you can judge it. To me, this is better than the Western way. I will. It's just a lip service. Doesn't mean anything. Now the Chinese have a name for the wife. The wife, when they get married, they got a new name. It's called new mother. It's a new mother. Why? Because this man, before it was his mother raised him up. If he make a mistake, mother tolerates, mother educate, mother support. That's the old mother. But from this day on, he got a new mother. The new mother need to support him and love him, embrace him, encourage him, take care of him. So you got, the wife got a new responsibility. It's not simply a bride. It's a new mother. It's a mother's role. That's the Chinese culture. But the first bow is always heaven. So heaven is always there. Even today, the ceremony is still, traditional ceremony is still that way, because Chinese know very well. This is not taken from the Bible, but it's similar. And we have read the Bible before. The Chinese say, this is before the Bible was translated into Chinese, says, this is how man came into existence. Heaven provides the essence. The body came from the earth. Combined, man was created. When these two are not combined, there was no creation of man. Simple like that. This statement was made 3,000 years ago. And we have seen this. It's very similar, like what the Bible says. The Lord God formed the man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being, a living soul. Now today, people are so much concerned about health. And just a little Chinese note here. The Chinese medicine recognizes that breath of God, which is not found in the modern anatomy. Western medicine doesn't recognize that. Western medicine recognizes blood moves, but does not recognize the breath of life. And Chinese medicine does, and it teaches you there is some of the points in the body, if you massage it, then you can activate, you can utilize that breath of life better. It's called the original breath of life in the human body. And we can see this is always, whether it's Chinese or the Bible, it tells us the same thing, that we are simply dust. Our life is given to us. And another, as the Psalm 103 continue to say, our days on earth are like grass, like wild flowers. That is why I started to use in the parables, right? Compare the plants, moving on to the animal and to us. The Bible says the same. We like what? Wild flowers. We just like them. How they grow is how we grow. It's the same thing. Life comes from the one same source. The wind blows and we are gone, as though we had never been here. Life is very short. Chinese have at least two ways of saying it. You know, one way to say life is only 3 meals, and you don't have any part of it. When you were born, your family put a big feast, and you are too young, you cannot eat it. Pretty soon you come to marriage age. You get married, at that marriage date you have a big banquet, but you were too busy, and you don't eat the banquet. And soon you died. Another meal, you're already dead. Life is only 3 meals, and you don't have any part of it. And we have another way to say, you know, you come to this world, everyone was happy. At about 10 years old, you go to school, study and grow. And at 20 years old, very ambitious. And 30 years old, you get a job established. And then 40 years old, about the prime of your time, to the 50. And then about 60, that is my age now. And you start to going down. By 70, I may look younger, but because I have been a vegetarian for over 30 years. Then by the 70s, you start to, energy is losing. By 80s, maybe you can get out, enjoy the sunshine a little bit. 90s, you lay on bed. By 100, you are a picture on the wall. That's all that is. Eventually, we're all going to become a picture on the wall. So we are just like the plants. When the wind blows, we are gone. But the Bible gave a good revelation of hope. It said, but the love of the Lord remains forever with those who fear him. His salvation extends to the children's children. So tonight, as we discover what is the greatest need of man, we discovered quite a few things. That, number one, I didn't bring myself here. I'm not the creator of myself. Right? And I didn't create this universe. When I came, the universe is here. When I'm gone, it's still here. And I didn't support this universe. And it is the sunshine, it's the water, and the air, the food from this universe supports me. I don't support them. Simple truth, isn't it? So what then is our need? Our need is to find the supporter, to find the one who gave life into this universe and to be connected. Just like the charger, like the phone needs to be charged with the power. Human life, our greatest need in life is to be connected with the source of life. What would be the source of life? We will explore that tomorrow night. Thank you.